for years I thought, oh, this is spiritual warfare. I'm fasting and praying against it. And it was me. I was lawless. I was not obeying the Father's word. So he had to chasten me.
Welcome to Walk Like a Hebrew. I'm your host, Jody Odell. Here on Walk Like a Hebrew, I sit down with regular people, most of whom would describe themselves as good Christians, and we talk about what exactly it was that pulled them off the wide path of mainstream Christianity and onto this extremely narrow way. This way includes reading the whole Bible, believing the whole Bible is meant for all, and walking out our faith according to the whole Bible, including the books of Moses known as Torah. Most of us have spent a huge chunk of our lives calling the Torah the law. So I ask you, what does it mean, biblically speaking, to be lawless? If you're new to Torah life and have questions, or if you're a believer trying to figure out what this whole Bible business is all about, please find me on Facebook or Instagram at Walk Like a Hebrew, and let's talk about it. In episode 33, I sat down with Cynthia Thompson, who is known as Cindy's Pantry on Facebook. Cindy and I had a wonderful conversation about her journey into this deeper faith walk, the difference between being educated and being an encourager, and her discovery of exactly why her Christian walk had not been as successful as she thought it should be. Welcome to Walk Like a Hebrew. I'm Jody Odell, and I'm here this afternoon with Cynthia Thompson of Pennsylvania. You may know Cynthia from Cindy's Pantry on Facebook if you're part of any of the Torah-keeping Facebook forums. Cindy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jody. It's such a nice thing to be able to get to meet you and talk with you a little bit.
I love connecting with people. That's like my favorite part of this project of mine. So can you just give us a little background on yourself and where you've come from?
Okay, well, my roots are pretty much in Delaware, and that's where all my grandchildren and family are, and I'm getting ready to go see them this week, hopefully. My background, it's a journey. Let's say it's a journey. But in relation to Torah, I was a Christian for 55 years and loved being a Christian. I love Jesus. I now call him Yeshua, but I don't have a problem with the name, whatever people feel comfortable with, because I believe we need to give a lot of grace and a lot of mercy, and I hope somebody's listening to me say that. But anyway, I had been in every church there was, everything. I was raised in the Assemblies of God. I was in all different denominations, searching and seeking and whatnot. But I had a friend that started talking to me about Sabbath and that she'd been to Israel and this and that, and I was intrigued by it because I always loved the Jews, and I watched The Hiding Place when I was a young girl, with Corrie ten Boom, and I was fascinated by all that. And anyway, so it was like a really slow thing, but then I gradually just started keeping Sabbath with her. We were doing Sabbath and Sunday, and just learning more and gleaning more, and it just the Father slowly opening up my eyes. But then someone in Delaware, Messianic Delaware, started a gathering, and I went to that one night, and I learned more. And then they suggested that I listen to the video Identity Crisis by Jim Staley, and I did, and it just really opened my eyes big time. It was the two-house thing, and I'm not a teacher, so I don't even know how to explain the two-house thing, but always before I thought it was all about the Jews, but when I saw that, I realized about the scattered tribes and everything, and that was just eye-opening to me.
So would you say that Identity Crisis by Jim Staley, that was the thing that was like the catalyst?
That was the big trigger. I cried for 4 hours, I tell everybody. And the thing that I cried the most was because I had understanding at last of what was really going on. But I also cried for sorrow for all the years that I've been teaching half-truths. Not teaching, but discipling. I have discipled people over the years, and I just realized why my Christianity wasn't quite working, because I didn't have the whole package, So that's part of why I'm glad to talk to you, because I want to prevent anybody from making the mistakes that I made, because I just didn't know. So I figure the more information we get out there, and thank Yah that we are in the information age, and you can find everything you want to know about Torah right online right now. But anytime now, they're going to be taking it all down. But I feel like I am kind of like a Jane the Baptist in the wilderness, just saying, prepare the way of the Lord, and his way is Torah, Like I said, don't quote me on anything as far as teaching or scriptures, I certainly know some of them, but that's not my thing. I'm an exhorter, and I like to do the work of an evangelist. I like to encourage people.
Yeah, and we need so much of that. We need so much of that in the way the world is right now. The decline of the culture in the United States is just shocking. Yeah. And I imagine it's just as bad around the world.
Oh, yeah, it is. I was in Panama for 18 months and about 4 or 5 years ago. And, it's everywhere. And I get reports. Of course, when you have a presence on Facebook and you have a lot of friends, I hear from people all over the world of things that are going on. And it's a lot to pray about. And that's why I started my nightly prayer meetings now. I was doing it 4 nights a week, but I've decided to do it every night for even a few minutes because I feel like there's such a vast need and people just need to get quiet before the Lord and know that somebody else is there and has concerns. And I believe in the power of prayer. I really, really do. I've seen so many miracles, and I was a single mother for many years, and the Father just met our needs. But corporate prayer is what I really believe is needed in this hour. We need to come together, even if it's just on Facebook, to pray against these things. Now, we can't stop revelation. We can't stop prophecy, but we can pray for our families. That is my big, big thing, is to pray for my family to get full revelation. And for myself, I want more revelation,
Yeah, that's a good project to have. I don't want to call it a project. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful ministry.
Well, he just led me to it because I just felt so all alone. And I had tried to start, little gatherings in my apartment or this or that, and I invited people to come, but I just was really having a hard time. And a friend mentioned to me, well, why don't you do Facebook Live? I go, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, then she showed me how to do it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so easy, So I just set up, and I tell everybody you can preach the gospel around the world with your phone and your voice. So I've got those two things right now. So I'm using it, but I have gotten good feedback because, like I said, barely anybody was coming to the in-person prayer meetings, but some nights I have 100 people online with me, and it's wonderful. But I'm happy if I have just one person, because it helps me not to feel alone. So I figure if it helps me, maybe it's helping somebody else.
So has Torah life been lonely? I mean, specifically being in Torah versus being in Christianity.
Yeah, definitely, because I'm the first one. Nobody in my family, well, they're starting to wake up a little bit now, but, for 6 years, it has been a very lonely, misunderstandings, and plus me just having to learn along the way, and I've made my mistakes and gone too far this way or too far that way. I'm trying to be more in the middle, walking in mercy and grace and understanding, loving everybody. That's Yeshua's way, is the way of love. I've never been a Torah terrorist, but I have certainly been around them, and I'm sure that they wore off on me a little bit more than I realized, but I just think we've got to show so much mercy. But I have this friend, and he says to me all the time now, it's the funniest thing. He says, why do people hate me? Because I'm trying not to sin.
Oh.
Isn't that good?
Wow.
I think that is so profound. That is so profound.
It
you
really
will find people that literally hate you because they don't understand you, but because they're indoctrinated in what they're in and they just cannot see it. I couldn't see it until I saw it. I never even heard of it. I was like, oh, that's a Jewish thing. That's what everybody always hears, Mm-hmm. But then when you begin to see it, you're like, wow, we have really been missing the boat all these years, So yeah, it's been lonely and a narrow road. But like I was telling you before our interview, that sometimes I've started to enjoy my loneliness because it gives me a lot more time with the Father, But I'm a social butterfly. I love to be with people whenever I can. It's just, I've had to die to myself. I mean, I really had to die to myself and just say, this is not about me. It's about obeying him. But this is the thing. After 6 years now, I'm beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm seeing more joy, and because the fruit of it is coming. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more blessings of obedience. There's been blessings of obedience from day one, really, but more blessings. The more obedient you are, it's just like a mother and child. If the child cleans the room, like, okay, you get an extra brownie or something. If you don't clean your room, no brownies for you. So, but he is so merciful. Even when we don't clean our room, he loves us, and he's trying to get us to clean up our act so that we will be more fruitful, more productive for his kingdom, Well,
it does take a while after you plant a tree, it's going to be a while before you can partake in that fruit, especially if you're keeping Torah.
Right.
You can't you can't eat the fruit the first year, the second year, the third year.
No. No, it's true. And I was so surprised by that because, I'm an impatient American. I want things yesterday.
Yeah.
But I did hear that, I think it's the banana tree. Forgive me if I'm misquoting, but there is some tree that you sow the seed and it doesn't come up at all for 25 years. But when it comes up, it really shoots through the sky kind of thing,
Wow.
So, and we're all different. We're planting all different kinds of trees, Some are oaks, some are banana trees, some are whatever, so we don't really know. But that's where we have to leave it to Him. Our job is to sow the seeds. The nice thing is, as a Christian, I always felt like I had to get people saved. I've totally lost that. I still feel a responsibility that of course, I want to see everybody have salvation and that type of thing, but I know it's the Father's work. My job is to sow the seed. He draws them by His Spirit,
Yeah, I'm actually glad to hear you say that. I posited that same theory. Well, I don't know if it's a theory or not, but I said something similar to a friend of mine in the mainstream church not long after I came to Torah, and she just thought I was off my rocker.
Mm-hmm.
The Great
I know.
Commission.
Well, I know. Believe me, we used to, take names and numbers and count up. And, I remember going to like Methodist churches when I was a kid, and they have that sign on the wall, how many were saved this week, how many were baptized. They were keeping track of it for headquarters,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so that is one thing I love about the Torah movement. It's a much more free thing. Now, there are some people that are more into that aspect, but actually it was a teaching by Torah Family by Steve Moutria that I mention all the time that really set me free. It's called Church Leadership. And it really helped me to start speaking up as a woman, as a divorced woman, because in many denominations, somebody like me has no voice. But
right.
You have to listen to it to understand it all. But, I believe we are in the end times and that His Spirit is on His handmaidens and that it's like He's using everybody and anybody that will speak for Him, So I have really gotten over that fear, but it took me quite a while to get over it because, of course, I didn't want to do anything wrong to bring shame to His name. But I also was a little bit like Moses and like, why me? Why do you want to use me when there's so many people that are more prolific, more whatever?
More something, more everything.
More something, yeah. But what I've figured out is that I'm a cheerleader, and I just go on there and I say, look, I'm a number 1 preacher. Hey, if you're number 10, you go for it, but at least I'm out here doing what I know to do,
Right. That is very encouraging. And I'll make sure that we put a link to that teaching by Steve Moutria in the show notes.
Yeah. No, it's a very good video. And basically, in a nutshell, like I said, I'm not a teacher. He is. But he says there is no Jerusalem council now. So think about it. There's nobody truly upline to be accountable to, as far as I know. And I'm totally willing to be corrected. I've had so many paradigm shifts and, whatnot. So I'm not saying thus said the Lord, but this made sense to me. Now in the Catholic Church, of course, the Pope is way up there, so everybody answers to him, but I'm not answering to him.
It's funny, isn't it, how when you come into Torah, you learn really fast to hold your beliefs more loosely than you did.
Yes, you do.
Before.
You do. But you're so starved because you've only had the half truths for so long. I mean, I lived on YouTube videos, as everybody does, because you're so interested. But then you have to get to the point, and this is where I give my Christy Jordan plug. I do Bible study with her every day. And, we, even though I have a master's degree in the Bible, I don't know everything by a long shot, But I've had to relearn everything, throw out a whole bunch of stuff, bring in a whole bunch more. But like I said, I have a bit of a short-term memory thing going on. I'm praying against that every day or praying for healing. But I'm not like a real critical thinker. What's the word? I'm more of a visionary type, I'm not a detail person, but I value those people. And I have a really good friend that is teaching me so much, and he is so detailed, We need that. But at the same time, we need people like me who are just like enthusiastic, and it's like, this is so wonderful, because it is wonderful to walk in the Father's ways. There's so many blessings,
Well, let's talk some specifics, okay?
Okay.
One of the things that I get feedback-wise from new people is they like to hear how keeping Torah has changed their day-to-day life.
Okay.
Because going from mainstream Christianity, where you're a Christian, but and that's separate, into Torah, it's not just a paradigm shift, but it's a lifestyle shift.
Yeah, so, it really is. Yeah.
Can you talk about the lifestyle changes from keeping Torah?
Sure. And I call them Torah babies. There used to be a ministry called Torah babies, but I think it's defunct now. But I think that's a good name for it. But I mean, even though I'm 6 years, I still feel like a toddler. You know, I'm still toddling around. I still fall down and everything. But all of us are really Torah babies because most of us have not done this for generations, you know, so we have so much backlog behind us of the wrong way. But the daily thing, the biggest thing for me that I notice a difference is the shalom, because I was really a nervous Nelly, a single mother, the cares of the world, you know, all that. But when I started keeping Sabbath and, you know, respecting that and doing more and more things, I really did feel more shalom come. And it's just been a gradual thing. It's not overnight, but I have much more peace than I ever had before. So that would be the biggest thing. Because I'm single, I live alone. I don't have a family, so I don't have routines, which is good and bad, you know. But, you know, I have some friends that they help me remember, you know, okay, we're doing this feast, we're doing that, you know, because it does get confusing, and there's like 10 different calendars out there, and it can be really,
the calendars.
It can really be crazy who to follow. But once again, we know that we're, you know, he's going to straighten all that out when he comes. We're just doing this to please him the best we can right now, you know.
Yeah.
Like I said, because I'm single, it's not like I have a set routine. I really follow the Spirit. Now, I'm a little bit of a different kind of Torah keeper, and I'm sure, you know, like I said, there's almost as many different types of Torah keepers as there are Christians these days.
Right.
But because I came from a very charismatic background, and I still consider myself very charismatic, I believe fully in the gifts of the Spirit and people being set free and all that. I worked for Teen Challenge. I saw many miracles over the years. But in the Torah community, I was a little shocked by that. They're not really as moving in the gifts and in the Spirit as I thought. I'm not saying they don't have it, but there's more of an emphasis on the Word, and I would never say not to emphasize the Word, but I think there's got to be a balance. There's got to be a better balance. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that a lot. My personal take on that, on why that may be, is because the paradigm shift is so shocking that personally I felt like I needed to sort of retreat. Kind of the way Paul did after the Damascus Road incident. Paul went away. He didn't immediately go out and start preaching to the Gentiles.
Right.
He went away and studied for years to make sure he knew what he was talking about and could back everything up before he got out there. It's almost as if we set aside the emotion of Christianity for a time and the gifts in order to learn. And once we have the foundation, then we're free to go and pick the emotion and the gifts and all that back up and put them together. I don't know if that's accurate. That's just my own take.
Yeah, well, I respect that. And I know somebody told me, oh, well, you're really not supposed to tell anybody about your Torah experience until you've walked it out for 5 years. I go, well, I blew that the first week because I was so excited. I am the woman at the well. Now, I've not had 5 husbands. I've only had 2, and they were the same person. But anyway, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's like, I have to tell everybody this. I was a salesperson all my life. I have to tell people this is the best cookie you ever ate in your life, you know, that kind of thing. And so when I got a hold of Torah, I was just like, I have to tell everybody. So I think it's different strokes for different personalities. You know, I think if you're going to be a real teacher, you do need to go apart and put it all together and package it up and all that. But if you're somebody like me that's just kind of like a cheerleader, I think that fits me, you know. But at the same time, at the same time, I do not want to lead anybody astray. I'm constantly going to the Father and saying, Father, if there's anything I've said on Facebook or even praying, please correct me. I will repent on Facebook. And I try to give that disclaimer all the time. I am not a teacher. I'm not a teacher. But at the same time, I know I have to be responsible because we're all disciples.
And you can be a Titus 2 woman now.
Yes, and I long to do that. I really want to. That is my biggest thing. I tell people, I don't want you to have to go through what I went through. I really banged my head on the wall for years and not knowing what I was doing wrong. Like I told you earlier, I was like, for years I thought, oh, this is spiritual warfare. I'm fasting and praying against it. And it was me. I was lawless. I was not obeying the Father's word. So he had to chasten me. Like I said, things are so much more peaceful. Not to say that I don't get attacks or different setbacks or whatever, but I handle them a whole lot better than I used to, you know.
So what do you call yourself?
I want to ask you that same question because I have gone the gambit. You know, of course, in the beginning I was Messianic, and then I was Torah observant, and then I was Torah pursuant, and now even those names have gotten, Hebrew roots, all that kind of stuff. I just say I'm a fisher of men, and that's what I love. I love fishing on the internet, just sowing seeds, putting stuff out there. People respond. I respond back to them. I try to help them. If I don't know it, I try to get answers for them. I'm a whole Bible believer, of course. Yeshua said, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. So,
hallelujah. I love that. I love that.
Well,
you're the first one who has said that to me. So.
Wow.
Great.
Well, it's just, especially since like last August, I've always, ever since I got into Torah, been putting all kind of teachings and encouragement about Torah. But, I see what's coming. I see the handwriting on the wall with, the end times and all that. And I really felt like he was telling me to speed it up and to fish more. And so I really did. I mean, I'm almost, well, I don't say 24/7, but I am a poster, and I'm not ashamed of that, because one post can go to India tonight and touch somebody's life. And I just tell people very nicely, I said, listen, if I bother you, please, I'm not offended. Block me, unfriend me, whatever, because I've got to reach people that don't know. I'm glad, I'm good. You go your way, I'll go mine, because I know I'm a little bit over the top for some people. They can only read one post a day, but, I just see it as a vast ocean of information that we need to get out.
Can you share your favorite resources with us?
Well, I've been the gambit with that too, and I'm going to pull a Christy Jordan and say the Bible.
Perfect.
I'm getting seriously back to the Bible because, like I said, I have been in every YouTube camp online, and I'm like, that scripture, I don't know how to say it right, but the one that says, whoever's doing it, don't stop them from doing it, because even if they're doing it wrong, they're putting something up there. But you know what scripture I'm talking about? I know I'm totally
I do. Yeah, and I'm trying to pull it out of the soup.
It's like, don't shut people down because they're preaching. They're preaching the gospel the best they know how, and even if they are wolves in sheep's clothing, they are still putting some of the word out there, So anyway, I have been disillusioned at times in my Torah walk by different ministries and stuff, and I definitely would never say who they are, because that's not for me to say. Some people may need to do that to expose people, but that's not my job. My job is to encourage the body, but I would really stick with the Bible, get with a group like Christy Jordan's or something, where they give you some nuggets to chew on, but they really want you to do the work yourself and get in there and learn,
Yes. Can you say the name of that ministry?
Christy Jordan's Front Porch Ministry. Now, the thing is, she has like 12,000 people reading the Bible with her every day. It's amazing. And I found her through a ministry called Shofars at Sunset, which I started sounding the shofar a year ago, every night with this group. And it's like 3,000 people around the world with the shofar every night. But anyway, then out of that, I found out that she had this Bible study that she's been doing for years online. So I signed up for it in January. So you have to get in January. But I post her stuff almost every day because it's inspirational. You can follow along in the Bible and read her notes, but you just can't connect with other people until you sign up. Does that make sense? So anyway, Christy Jordan's Front Porch Fellowship. I think she's pretty safe. I don't agree with anybody about anything anymore. You know how it is. We all have different things we disagree, but I see a lot of love in her, and I see that she really wants people to learn for themselves. And I think that's very safe, because I have gotten off track many times following different ministries, different personalities. And I tell people all the time, please don't follow me. Follow him. Be a fisher of men,
Hallelujah. Well, thank you, Cindy. I really appreciate you sitting down with me.
Thank you for listening to Walk Like a Hebrew. You can find links to the resources mentioned in this episode in the show notes on your podcast app by visiting the link tree in our Instagram bio and Facebook, or by visiting sheholdsforth.com. There are many ways to support this program, including donating at sheholdsforth.com, making Amazon affiliate link purchases from the show notes, or by getting yourself some sweet Walk Like a Hebrew merchandise on eBay or Etsy. And please like and share our Facebook page, subscribe to Walk Like a Hebrew on your podcast app or YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and leave reviews anywhere and everywhere you can. All these things will help get the word out about Walk Like a Hebrew. And as always, many, many thanks to my friend Jack Lane for the music. May Yahovah bless you. We'll catch you next time.